All right, everybody, welcome back. This is The End of the World with Michael and Stu.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Stu, and today we are discussing one of the great masterpieces of the 1990s. That's right, it's schoolyard conversation piece movie of my 6th grade year, Alive.
Alive. Yes, which also made it into Seinfeld.
It did. And I think there's definitely a Simpsons parody. There's a Simpsons parody as well, right? Like,
Seinfeld, the bit is who would be eaten.
And
right? Like which of them?
Like George, obviously, right?
And then the Kramer's lean, you know?
Yeah. Oh, right.
Remember this episode?
So maybe Kramer would be the best.
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you bring that up about the square, because it did, like, I mean, obviously it's a truly bonkers story.
Yes.
But it is amazing how it became a sort of phenomenon for the question of, like, would you eat someone in this scenario?
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little bit like the Essex conundrum. The Essex is the famous whale ship that was attacked by a vicious whale and sunk in the middle of the Pacific Ocean in 1820, I believe.
Okay.
And they had only limited rations, and there were three boats. The crew all survived the initial sinking of the ship and this inspired Moby Dick, obviously. Sort of legendary incident. Mm-hmm. But each of the three boats chose like a different place to go. They didn't go to the closest islands because, ironically, they dreaded cannibals. Right? They're like, oh, we don't want to get eaten. We don't want to get eaten by these cannibals.
Crazy to be in such a bad spot and still be like inventing possible worst case scenarios like that.
Well, I mean, it was possible that would happen. It was unlikely, sure. But you could just roll up on the wrong tribe at the wrong time, and they're in a war or something. Right. But yeah, one crew actually made it relatively easily. Another one had a pretty hard time, but then the one that tried to go to South America, I think they headed for Easter Island or something like that. Okay. Yeah, they ran out of food. And yeah, they survived, but the cabin boy was devoured.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I forget if he died. There's like an ethical, did they kill him or did he die? I forget how it worked out, but at least one or two people ended up getting eaten, and they were never prosecuted for this, obviously, because it's like in the film we're going to talk about, a sort of extreme scenario. So this movie we're watching, or that we watched for today, Alive, is about a plane crash. And just as a little way of getting us into the spirit, I thought we'd discuss a news item that came across the internet to me about this GPS jamming device that apparently the U.S. military has developed, but has not yet, has not yet perfected.
Shocked to hear it.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that the U.S. military could ever err, but from time to time,
the unthinkable happens.
That's right. And so there's a story in Wired. I have a little summary of it from Futurism magazine, whatever that is. And whatever futurism is, I've never heard of this idea. But so basically in May, a small medvac plane was going from Roswell, site of a famous alien incident, allegedly, to a small mountain village to deliver emergency medical supplies. And they were happened to be testing, and it is a sort of low visibility area. So they're flying on instruments, and instruments are very dependent upon GPS. So the military, perhaps unaware that this crew was en route, tested this kind of jammer device. And so the plane lost contact with air traffic control, and GPS went out, and they slammed directly into a mountain.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's...
And was there a cover-up or something, or like what?
I don't think there was a cover-up. I think it wasn't clear right away what had happened, you know? Like
Did any conspiracy theories emerge of like someone was making a run from it from Roswell with some sort of like alien?
I haven't
And so
seen
the
that. I mean, I'm
military
sure
had
if you
to-
look deep enough on TikTok, you can you can discover that. But I have not encountered that
Mhm.
as of yet. I think what's interesting about this is I feel like if Biden did this, if this happened under Biden, it would be a Benghazi like situation or something.
Sure. Yeah.
But I feel like the energy, even with Trump being remarkably unpopular, there isn't the will to blame the government for every, you know what I mean, or something, because it's weird to me that this isn't a bigger story.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like an absolutely avoidable catastrophe, right?
Yeah, and I mean, not that many people were killed. I think there were only 2 or 3 people on the plane. No, 4.
The thing I'm a little bit unclear about, and maybe you know this or not, but so do they run checks for airplanes in the vicinity of Jammer when they test?
I mean, one would
Do
imagine.
you see what I'm saying? Like, why did like so then they just didn't see this plane or something? Is that right?
Yeah, apparently. You're breaking up on me a lot. I don't know what's going on here. Hold on.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I don't
like I
know.
just lost all of what you just said. And you're like your image is very uh
I don't know.
it's not you. I think it's me. It's not you, Michael. It's me.
I mean, it might be maybe my internet.
No, it could be my internet. It could be any number of things. I think we're good now. So we'll just pick up
Okay.
where you said. Just say like. So they don't run. Do they run checks or whatever?
Yeah. Okay. So do they run checks on the airspace before they just turn the test on? Like, how does that even happen?
You would think that they would, but apparently not in this case. The army is aware of the release of the NTSB's preliminary report into the crash of a civilian medical evacuation flight on May 14th in the vicinity of Ruidoso, New Mexico. As the incident remains
Okay.
under investigation, we cannot comment at this time. So we have heard
Sure.
about this, but we're not allowed to say until
Yeah, always the best type of investigation are these ones that are clearly like everything is already known, but they just need to take their time till they figure out how they're actually going to explain this in a way that limits the sort of PR damage.
yeah, they're like, look, there's a lot of things we have to cover up here. So
Yeah.
let us get back to you.
That they can end up saying something like, we cannot underestimate how vital GPS jamming is. And in many ways, the tragic deaths of these people were a valiant and honorable service to this country, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's gonna
I mean,
be...
not since the soldiers who defended Fort Sumter has the
right. Exactly.
Yeah, so it seems good. It seems good that the government's accidentally knocking civilian planes out of the air. I'm very happy about
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I guess they're like, well, I guess this thing works on,
Yeah, well, now they know, right?
Yeah, no, they know.
Test
I mean,
successful.
it is sort of just like another totally tragic example of the utter incompetence that is going on at basically every
Yeah,
possible avenue of government right now. They're like, oh yeah,
that's
like,
right.
You got planes running into mountains. You got like they're recalling 12,000 pounds of bacon. Like it's just the whole thing is.
There's an entire war that has depleted our entire stash of missiles, apparently.
Yeah, right.
With no positive result at all, which is.
Well, I don't know. I would say that we've taught them a lesson and won a decisive victory, but that's just me.
Indeed. All right, so let's talk about Alive. Yeah, as we said at the outset, this was a movie that was talked about a lot when I was a kid.
Hmm.
It was scandalous, the fact that it depicted cannibalism, and that was
Yeah.
actually like almost the only thing about it that was ever discussed. And it's the only thing I feel like I had seen this, or at least part of it at some point, but the only thing that I remembered is, wait for it, the cannibalism. I didn't remember. I mean, I've read about this incident because it's, it's a famous
Yeah.
story of survival.
I mean,
And
obviously the survival story is incredible and worthy of being told, but given the reaction and given the obsession with the cannibalism, you almost could see a movie where it's all about the decision about whether or not to eat other people. And then
yeah,
like once they decide to, the movie ends with them like huddled around the human eating, and then you get the like 60 days later they were saved,
right,
etc.
right. It's almost like a one night uh, movie.
Discussion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where you get a bunch of different perspectives. Although
Right.
there aren't, the problem with that though is that, are there really that many perspectives? It's like, we do the
Well, this is the
cannibalism
thing. Like,
or we die.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think this is the whole thing that maybe we'll save some of that for when we get to this point in the actual movie
Sure.
description. But yeah, we'll just say that I think one of the problems with the movie is that, especially when you're coming in having heard the like the news that this movie depicts this, that you're almost expecting more drama around it.
Yeah, and
But then once,
and just more mayhem in general, right?
well, I was so like from what I've read, and tell me if you heard something different, but what I read was basically that they ran out of food in like a week.
Yeah.
And then a couple days later, after discussing it, they had decided around day 10 to start eating people.
That's my understanding as well.
Yeah. And I guess the one thing that is kind of interesting is like, let's say that they were rescued, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if they're rescued like on day 10 exactly, right? So this is and they explain they were out of food for, let's say, 7 days.
But like
right?
a helicopter touches down and they are like going to town on some human flesh.
It's like, is 10 days, even if you explain, like, because one of the things this movie does well is like, you actually can't conceive of being out there like that.
No.
It's not in our capability to be like, oh, it'd be so cold. Like the whole time I'm watching, I honestly do not still understand how they survived.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Any of them.
and many of them did not survive. I mean,
of course, but like some of them did, and that is insane.
16 out of like 30 something people survived.
Like at a level that I don't get. Like I think about how I've been outside.
Well, this is why
it's
why it's known as the miracle of the Andes. Right. I mean, I thought I was going to freeze to death when I like was on a ski trip and like got stuck in the snow for like 10 minutes or something. I was like, oh, this could be it. Oh no, I'm free. I'm okay.
Right. And one of the problems I have with the movie, which is strange because it's based on a true story, and these people, it is verified that these people survived,
and many of them are still alive.
I'm still watching despite that, being like, this is bullshit. No way.
The author's gone too far. This is fiction. This come on, this isn't real.
Yeah, let's talk about how the movie gets there, and then we'll talk a little bit more about cannibalism. So stick around.
Yeah. So one of the things about this movie is that it is set entirely in the plain and on the mountain. There's like no setup. We don't see them train. I thought
there's no flashbacks where you see like the happy moments of their lives.
There's John Malkovich is the narrator for the beginning and the end, and he's like smoking a cig, and he's great. He looks nothing like any of the actors who are the kids.
That's right.
I mean, this is about a Uruguayan rugby team, and like, granted, I know there are a lot of like Germanic and Italian people in Uruguay, but like, this is like Josh Hamilton and Ethan Hawke, right? These are not like Latin flavored people at all. There are a few Latin actors as well, but it's so American. Like
honestly, when I saw Malkovich, because you had explained to me, because you'd watched it first, the rewatch, and you'd explained to me Malkovich's role, and it's as though like he thought the project was cool and like asked or begged to be in it, and they were like, what's the most John Malkovich thing we could have happen here?
Oh, you're smoking and talking about this retrospectively.
Right, because imagine if someone like Malkovich wanted to be in that movie. I'm sorry, but like, it's too much to have Malkovich in this movie. Like, actually, one of the
right,
survivors.
Because he's just acting everyone off the mountain.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah. And so they're just like, what if we had you chain smoking and talking at the beginning and end of the movie?
Malkovich is like, I can work with that. You know,
why don't we just, before we get into the basic events?
I mean, the plot summary is not going to take long. There's not that much that happens.
No, but just briefly explain to anybody who may not actually know what happened.
So in 1972, this Uruguayan rugby team, I think it's unclear to me whether they're a professional team or a club. They're like a club team. So they're like semi-pro kind of.
It feels semi-pro, yeah.
It's like a little better than your like average Sunday league. Like your
they have like a bare bones like staff.
There's like a coach. Their family comes along with them. They have enough money to charter a plane to go to Chile for this game, right?
That's
right. But they're on the way. They're all having fun on the plane, and the plane loses altitude. The pilots screw up somehow. It's not entirely clear what caused the actual accident. But they crashed into the side of a mountain in the middle of the Andes, between Argentina, Uruguay, and Chile. Not close to any civilization, not near any ski resorts or anything that is in the Andes, in a very remote place. And they crashed in such a way that the plane was not very visible even from the air. Now, this happened, I think, in October, which is the end of winter in South America, right? Or south of the equator, the southern hemisphere. So that's something that
the time of year ends up being one of the huge breaks.
Right, because the good luck is that by December, when they do escape, it's summer. But the search for them is called off after 9 days. And as we discussed already, on the 10th day, they're like, well, and they have a radio, so they're aware of this. They're aware that no one's looking for them.
What is your take on that? Because here's the thing. It's like you can bring supplies and food on an airplane.
Yeah.
Right. And so that feels early to call the search off. Like, given that in real life, they rationed for a week or so.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine that if you're responsible for the search and rescue attempts, that you aren't being like, well, probably this is the type of amount of food that they might be able to have. And if they all rationed it, and maybe some people died right away. But
there's no trace of the plane. They have no evidence that anyone survived. They can't find.
They know that a plane like crashed.
They know a plane did not make it. That it did not reach its destination.
Right. I don't know. A week and change just feels like a little quick to be like, no, they're definitely all dead forever.
Well, but I mean, also there's a really adverse weather conditions, which we see in the film too.
Yeah, right? I guess it might just be that
snowing.
There's
no way to get up. Like, there's that scene in the film where a plane does fly over and they assume they've been seen. Yeah. When in point of fact they have not, right? And the next thing they hear is that nope, plane.
That's one of the moments where, again, talking about how you can't understand how your body and mind will react and what the will to survive really is. But I have to say, like,
after seeing that plane, thinking you're saved, and then
I might be done at that point. I might be like, look, guys, I know we haven't even talked about this yet, but how do you feel about eating me? I'm out.
I mean, in the real story, the film doesn't depict that specifically, but some of the people who ended up surviving did completely check out, like, pretty early on. And just,
what do you mean?
Like, they didn't do anything to help. They didn't help with the injured. They were just like
trying to survive.
Not even trying to survive. They didn't care. They did survive because people forced them to eat or something, but they were essentially depressed.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean,
that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah. And it's really just a couple of men of action, if you will. Mm-hmm. The aforementioned Ethan Hawke and Josh Hamilton. Yeah. Not to be confused with the baseball player, Josh Hamilton, right? Wasn't that
No. Yeah, that's a guy.
He was wasn't he the troubled drug?
Troubled, yeah. And then like sort of
came back,
yeah, he
was MVP.
Came back and had a huge year, yeah. That's
and then
right.
but had troubles again later. How odd. That never happens. In any case,
we'll cover him in more detail on another episode.
Yeah, well, the Josh Hamilton episode is going to be gangbusters, 1 million downloads. But anyway, so in the film, you know, the crash is pretty well depicted. This was all shot on location, or not all, but a lot of it was shot on location in British Columbia on a glacier, right?
Okay.
So it stands in fairly effectively. I'm sure there's a bunch of matte paintings in the back, you know, composited in at different points. Just the plane crash depiction itself, horrifying, right? They're sledding down the side of a mountain in the cylindrical tube of the fuselage. The seats become unmoored and everyone just crashes in. Several people are like badly concussed. Other people's legs are just crushed. A lot of people die in the initial crash. And then some people are just sucked out after the tail section of the plane. I feel like Lost, the show with the tail section breaks off and lands somewhere else. Very, perhaps influenced by this film. So Nando, who's played by Ethan Hawke and who is our main protagonist, is knocked out and is in fact asleep for the first couple days. He's badly concussed.
For a protagonist, it is one of the sort of interesting choices. I mean, obviously it's based on a true story, so I guess
this did happen, yes.
Yeah, but like he really, obviously takes over the movie and carries it home. He's really out for a big chunk of the movie.
Yeah.
Way longer than I had remembered.
Yeah, no, it's dramatically
maybe like half an hour, 40 minutes, where it's just like
half an hour, I think. Yeah. And his mom dies in the initial crash, and then his sister is badly injured and dies relatively early on before they resort to cannibalism. We see them making a bunch of practical choices. They realize they can use certain things as blankets. They use the seat covers as blankets. They block up the opening of the fuselage to keep the wind out with the excess luggage. They find some wine. They find some sort of chocolate and nuts. There's very little food. I mean, this is not a long flight, so they don't have any meals.
That's right.
All the crew die.
They have so many cigarettes.
They have cases of cigarettes.
It's amazing.
It's a godsend
all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. The only crew member to survive is this mechanic character who's insane. He plays a kind of Lear's fool role where he's just kind of cackling.
Sure. He's, I think, one of the most annoying parts of the movie.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to sound rude, but he's also, it just genuinely, I feel like he's not a good actor.
There's a couple people like that really took me out of it. That guy,
how he got cast to try to be like the wild crazy one.
I mean, that's the Malkovich role if you're gonna have Malkovich on the
exactly.
right? Like,
but then he's so good that like the movie can't be anything other than the crazy ending.
The movie just suddenly becomes about the fool, and Hamlet is forced off stage or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So the leader of the team is this guy Antonio, and he's sort of the protagonist early on. In a weird way. It reminded me, this is not really an accurate comparison, but in Moby Dick early on, Ishmael is in one of the inns before they board the ship, and he sees this guy, Bulkington. And Bulkington's like this cool sailor. He's going to be on the Pequod. And you're like, oh, Bulkington, that's like the real hero of the story. And in an early version of Moby Dick, I think Bulkington was the main character. But at some point, Melville went back and was like, no, it's about Ishmael, it's about Ahab, it's not about Bulkington, and wrote Bulkington basically out of the story, except you still have the chapter where you meet Bulkington. And then at the end, Ishmael's like, so remember that guy Bulkington? Yeah, you're not going to see him again, but he's there. He's in the crowd. So it's this weird like fake out where you think this guy's going to be really important and then he disappears. That's kind of what I feel with this like team captain. Because he early on is like organizing people. He's like, am I the leader? Yeah, you're the leader. No one's down, and then he gets killed in the avalanche, and it honestly goes unmentioned that he's dead. Like,
Yeah.
it's very weird. You'd think it would
It's
be like a
extremely weird.
bigger deal that this previously significant figure is now just gone.
Yeah.
So,
And it's not really like, just to be clear, if anyone hasn't seen it, it's like, it's not like the rest of the time you're seeing, these totally emotionless, sad people, right? They are very active and very talkative. And like in many moments, like you sort of can't even conceive that anybody would be this like engaged with their reality during it. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
and so for them to not even like talk about that, it just felt like I was watching a version of the movie that was cut down or something.
Well, that's why I thought of the Bulkington thing, because I'm like, is something missing
Sure.
here? Is this a subplot that just got cut on the cutting room floor where they acknowledge that Antonio is now dead? Because he's just not mentioned after a certain point, and he's dead.
Right.
Then there's this
You're seeing them basically like, rig up the plane and whatever they can get, like getting water,
and they
like,
make hammocks for the badly injured guys, and like to get them
there's
off
all
the
this
snow.
ingenuity that is like obviously going to come face to face with its own limitation when it comes time to like, we're actually just gonna starve.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And then there's this kid Roy, he ends up being the radio guy. He is the kid who I thought was just the worst actor. Like every time he speaks in it, I'm just like, oh my God, why is this person in this movie? Like the fourth wall is crumbling into my face. I'm being buried by its precious bricks. So eventually, Nando does wake up, learns his mother's dead, sees his sister die. He's the first to suggest that we should eat the dead. He's like, we're gonna have to eat people. Like he's the one who's like, this is how it's gonna have to go. And one of the guys goes out, and the bodies are nicely preserved. They're frozen, and they take them out of the plane when people die and bury them. So, it's like a nice freezer for your steaks.
Yeah.
And they cut strips from the rump, shall we say, and they eat it raw, which is interesting because there is like heat. They have lighters, and
and
I guess they don't have that much fuel, but
again, if you haven't seen it, I found it like really quite jarring that they really did show the meat.
the cutting and they lay it out on
close-ups of the meat, and then close-ups of people eating the meat. Like it was very, I sort of did. I didn't really remember that. Like I guess
that's funny. That's all I remembered is them putting it on the metal, like because they heat it up because it's frozen.
And then it gets even crazier because we'll get to the end, but eventually when they form a party of people who are leaving, there's that scene where they're taking huge chunks and putting them in like a bag,
and like a sock or something to like. Yeah, it's not great.
But, so I mean, again, like now that we're at the dead eating part, because truly not to make light of it, it did actually happen. It's so insane. That this happened, but it, while they do have a lot of debate about whether to do it or not, and obviously question of God and sin.
God would want us to survive. God has not put us in this situation.
And I think in a way that like being that intimately connected with the possibility of your death every second of every day might actually make you more likely to entertain the fact that God might punish you for doing this, that God might have you out here for a reason, that this is exactly the test that you have to.
Well, and we see this with some characters who do refuse for longer than others.
Right. But you know what I mean? It's like one of these weird things where if you were in a quote unquote normal situation, obviously you would never have to entertain this. But if for some reason you did have to, it might be far easier to take a rational approach. But in that type of moment where you're sort of spiraling and your mind is melting, that like, if I'm going to die, like I think someone said, but like the thought I had was like, if you're worried about that from a perspective of judgment, you're also, I won't even have time to like repent. I mean, I could die right now, I could die on my way out to the meat, or as I put it in my mouth, so like this debate of whether God would, basically condemn you for doing it did actually kind of hold weight to me in terms of how I could see myself reacting fearfully, not necessarily like having an actual problem with eating the meat. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think I follow. You're almost like, wait, is the devil putting this idea of eating the meat
Yeah, like
right?
how many tricks your mind must be playing with you at this point. And again, like this is one of the things that Malkovich sort of mentions at the beginning, right? About like you're so connected to God in this moment, this isolation and solitude and danger. It's like nothing else, and no one can relate to it. So like if that is where your mind is at, you kind of feel the coming of your like final meeting with God. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
whereas, you know, obviously it's portrayed in the movie, and correctly so, that like the people who are like, no, the people who die would want us to do this. And in fact, one of the things that makes it easier for people to eat the dead regularly is that other people who are still alive all start to pledge that their bodies can be used, right?
Yeah.
If they
Yeah.
die.
Antonio himself says that just before he dies, conveniently.
Yes. And so it kind of like, you know, and I think, you know, that's like a good example, like where I guess I could see being like, this is crazy, and like these people died. I think there's no way you would have any problem eating someone who was like, please use me if I die, you know?
Yeah.
Do you think that it would be very easy for you to just be like, yeah, of course we have to do that? I mean, obviously we can't.
I mean, it would
imagine.
be incredibly repulsive initially.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I've not eaten really anything for 10 days and I'm on the verge of
once
death,
you reach the point where you genuine, like the radio, they're like, they've called the search off.
yeah.
Right. So like if they do that to you, you're probably gonna like, I think this is what I mean by like, it's not as sensational, because when you're watching it, it is kind of like, well, of course you would eat
Yeah.
the other.
It's the only
There's
thing.
no other-
There's no choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the next big disaster comes, and there's an avalanche, which kills 8 people, including Antonio and Liliana, the one woman who's played by, I forget her name off the top, but she's an actress who's in the Martin Scorsese Cape Fear.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she plays Nick Nolte's secretary, who De Niro as Max Cady like seduces, and then like interestingly takes a bite out of her cheek. So she's in 2 movies that involve people eating flesh.
Looks like Ileana Douglas, I think it is.
Yes, that's her name, Ileana Douglas. And she was actually Martin Scorsese's girlfriend for most of the 90s. And she's later in 6 Feet Under. She's in a bunch of stuff. I think she's an interesting and good actress. But
I will say, I just want to jump in on the avalanche, where, again, while who knows how you react and what your capacities are, inconceivable to me that I'm not ending it after the avalanche.
After another 8 people are just killed in a random freak of nature.
Like, come on. Are you serious? What? That part's real?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Like, you have to believe that you are like,
it's a little bit like when
here at this point.
It's a little bit like when Kevin Durant tore his Achilles in the finals, and then like Klay Thompson blew out his knee like in the same game or the next
Similar
game.
levels of trauma.
Just like one terrible thing happens, and then like something also as bad happens afterwards.
Right.
Sorry, I know we use sports analogies here, but perhaps not.
Right. It's not about minimizing what actually happened to these people. It is just actually the
just like unthinkable sequence of bad luck. Right.
That's right.
So they dig out, they pull people, but they can't save people. 8 more people die. And the 2 guys who are like, have like really bad open fractures, who have been hanging on for like months. They die after like 50 something days.
Yeah.
Which is insane. They have like gangrene infections. Like that's like a horrible way to die. Eventually they decide like, look, we're going to have to, They try to get batteries from the tail section. That doesn't work. The horrible actor guy, Roy, is unable to hook them up to the radio. The radio doesn't work. There's no way to call for help. So Nando Tintin, who's a sort of ancillary character, and then Canessa, who's is a medical student. He's been sort of trying to help people with their injuries and sicknesses and things.
The one who looks like Messi.
They're they are they decide, look, we're gonna have to make we're gonna have to make a run for it, right? Like, and more people are dying. They sew up some sleeping bags, and they set out to reach Chile, which entails climbing over several mountains. It's not just like they have to walk down the mountain they're on. It's like, no, they have to keep going further over mountains to get to civilization. And I think the film does a good job of just showing how insane it is. Because there's this one scene where they're like, there's the top. After this, it's going to be all the way down. And they get over, and it's just like another set of multiple peaks is ahead.
It's like, that's like 50 miles or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's so, and it took them like 12 days of hiking to reach civilization from where they had crashed. Which, and they've been out, they leave on day 60. So they've been out there for 2 months, subsisting entirely on human flesh.
Like, sure, you've got like some human meat, but like you are still absolutely at your wit's end. I mean, to coordinate that level of effort and like ward off all the things that can fell you while doing that with barely any, with like the most rigged up equipment.
If I were in that situation, I mean, granted, they're young and they're healthy and they're athletes, right? So, I mean, after 60 days, but you know, if I were to just try and do 1/3 of what they did, I would die. Yeah. There's no question I would fall into I'd fall off the mountain. I'd get eaten by a weird mythological animal. I don't know. You know, I mean, it's so it
would have been so tough too, because you would have probably been like, you know, 8 to 11 hours after having to like, let me go, you know?
Yeah.
Because I would be like, I'm out of here. And you'd be like, hey man, so like, this is tough because we're good friends. And I thought we were going to do this together, but like, if you can't keep up, and then I would just keel over.
So as they're going, Canessa kind of they send Tintin back because they want to consolidate all the food. And
I mean, he clearly never should have gone in the first place, but yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, Canessa's having a lot of doubts, and, you know, he's like, we can never make it. And then Ethan Hawke's Nando steps up and gives this inspiring speech where he's like, I'm proud to be a man on a day like this. Alive. If we die, we're going to die walking, right? He has this sort of Newt Rockney, like sports pep talk, right?
It's like basically there's discussion about the weather, kind of, right? So like if anyone's wondering, like, so wait, as soon as they got at least as healthy as they were going to by eating humans, you know, why don't you explain a bit? Why didn't they just run for it then? Why didn't they just go for it?
Because it's still the winter, right? And there are still snowstorms, and it does get significantly warmer, and the snow becomes easier to traverse because there's slightly less of it.
So it just becomes this exercise of hanging on and getting into the daily routine, I guess, of eating your friends and family.
How long do you think it takes to get used to that?
Probably in that scenario, I mean, I don't know, actually, because on the one hand, you're like, are you talking about the taste or the act of having to do it?
Just everything, the whole vibe.
I think the one thing that I didn't see in the movie and I feel like had to have happened is like, I think that I would be having like a mental breakdown of anguish and tears every time I'm confronted with doing it again.
But I think
like
I think after 60 days of it, you'd be used to it.
Yeah, maybe 60. But I feel like for weeks, it would just be like, I don't know. It's so insane.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And again, to me, it's twofold. It's like, not only are you doing that, you're doing it like, again, it's not like as soon as we start eating these people that we knew, we'll definitely make it. Right.
Oh,
like,
no. Yeah.
Exactly. So like, I don't know. I mean, again,
right. You could die having just eaten your friends for 3 months or whatever.
But I also think that, and I don't know if this is said in the book. I'd be interested to know what some of the people actually, like, not in the movie world, but my guess is that, you know, for all the like talk in the discourse, the debate about whether to eat these people, it's like they would want us to, right? Or people who did not had pledged. I really do think that taking such a massive step probably was not just from the nutritional value, from the mental value, gave a strength almost inconceivable to hang on.
Yeah.
Like, if we're going to
We've
do
done
this,
this, now we have to survive.
we are going to make it. And like for them and all of that. And like you can sort of see a bit of that in the movie. Like there is this sort of feeling, it's not like adrenaline or whatever, but like that the task is clear and they owe it to everyone who sort of came before, and especially because they had to consume them. I think it probably did keep a bunch of people alive, even just like spiritually and mentally,
Absolutely. So after this 12-day trek, they get to, it's a river. Oh,
yeah,
it's a nice little meadow. I think what really happened in their actual rescue, we don't see this in the movie. They saw some guys, some like caballeros, some like horse riding guys.
Oh, really? Okay.
Across a river. And they were like, hey, hey. Yeah. And they couldn't reach them because there was this river in the way, but they threw a note over tied to a rock. And the guys read it and were like, oh my God. Yeah. And they like threw them a loaf of bread back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then they went into town, which was like a 12-hour ride from where they were discovered. And help flew up and got them there. And then they went, because they had the other thing we don't really see is they had a map and they had figured out approximately where they were, which is how they were able to guide the helicopter back to find their friends. Right. Yeah. Which is very lucky. So imagine you get back and then you're like, all right, we got to go back. Oh, was it that? No, these all mountains look the same, right? Like,
right. Andes too. Right. Where it's them looking.
Yeah. Alive part 2.
Oh, right.
Alive 2, dead.
I would just say, like, because I thought the movie was actually like pretty average.
Yeah. It's not a great movie, but
yeah. And again, it's one of those things where one of the problems with the based on a true story.
Yeah, I mean, this is what actually basically more or less what happened, and it's pretty faithful.
You do know that they make it. And so,
I mean, the Malkovich at the beginning alerts us to that they're going to make it.
Right. And so, like, it's one of these things where, it's easier to be like not as blown away by the cannibalism of it all, given that everything. You've heard their story, you know what happened, and they're going to make it in the end. But the one thing I think I will say is that even though I didn't really love the movie, the story, like, and we do these sort of offshoots of the end of the world, sort of these apocalyptic scenarios or paradigm shifts or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And this is kind of like a micro apocalypse that happened to these people.
I mean, it shows what people have to do in an apocalypse-like scenario, I think.
Yeah, and again, like at scale, you're always going to wonder, but it is like genuinely, even with a movie that's not great, it's like I was genuinely uplifted. It's like everything from the idea that people are so obsessed with talking about the apocalypse now and convinced that the world is decades or a century away from everyone dying in a fireball or what have you.
Yeah,
that like there's going to be this period of time where everyone's going to turn against each other, and it's going to be this unimaginable. It's
going to be the road or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. To see them start up, right after this massively traumatic event, and obviously you're going to try to survive, but beyond that, it's like, okay, how do we keep people warm? How do we keep the sick alive? Right. So like, they're not just eating people after discussing it and realizing they're going to starve. They're like making real efforts to extend the lives of people.
Yeah, and like some of the people that were rescued did have broken bones and stuff that were not dealt with for like months.
Exactly. And like we talked about the people who made it 50 days. Like those people might not survive that long in an American hospital without healthcare. You know what I mean? Like,
it's too sad. I shouldn't laugh. It's horrible,
yes.
but it's true.
And then after the ingenuity, and then obviously the big decision, and then like the willpower and the sort of collective energy, obviously there, and it's not pie in the sky. It's not, I think there's way less fighting than there probably was in real life, of course, but like you do get the sense that people can, be in these horrific scenarios and still fight or argue or debate insane things like what do we do? Should we leave? Should we stay? Should we eat? Should we not? But there's something just fascinating about the very idea that even one person, to say nothing of like a reasonably big slice of these people, no pun intended.
Yeah, 16 people survived. Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the most remarkable stories that I've ever heard.
Yeah. No, I mean, the only comparable thing I can think of is the Essex and those guys sailing from the middle of the Pacific Ocean to Chile.
Yeah, I mean,
also to Chile, interestingly.
That or the 2019, was it 2019 Warriors?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
Well, the Warriors lost, though. They didn't.
Well, that's the thing. If the Warriors pull off the title
without KD and
right, does it go ahead
Clay
of the Miracle of the Andes? What do you think?
I think so.
But yeah, truly inspiring thing.
Yeah,
actually.
just like an amazing story to know about, even if the movie is itself, pretty mid. I mean, it's well done. It's cool looking. It's just some problems with some of the actors. The stars are good. There's a lot of good performances. They're kind of drawn down by some poor performances as well.
Well, before we wrap up, do you want to give just a little preview? You got a bit of news, and that's going to lead into what we're doing next week, right?
That's right. So I've started my cybernetics Substack, which is something that I've been threatening myself to do for some time. It's called Cybernetic Observations. You can find it on Substack by looking up Cybernetic Observations. I think probably looking up my name will work as well. It's just launched with a little brief welcome article over the this past weekend. But the first article is coming out on Wednesday. It's about 20 page article about the singularity, which is a topic.
Ever heard of it?
Yeah, it's a topic we've touched on in a few episodes in the past, but I wrote this article about Ray Kurzweil in particular, who is the kind of one of the most prominent longtime advocates of the tech singularity. The idea that we need to get, not only do we need to get artificial intelligence to surpass us, but we then need to merge with that artificial intelligence in order to become semi-immortal super beings. And he sees this as being a good thing. He sees this as being an
inevitability, right?
The inevitability, the logical evolution of the human race. And I point out in this article some issues with this. I mean, I try and take him as seriously as I can. I talk about the ideas that he puts forth. I do compare him to Victor Frankenstein. But then in the article, I also look at the sort of another idea of immortality that's a little bit more humanistically grounded. Because I think, one of the things we're really losing in this rush to make everything AI is a kind of an awareness of what it means to be human. I think that's what the power of beauty is. Like, why is beauty possible? And what is it about automatically generated writing that, or artificially generated writing that
is only sometimes extremely beautiful?
Is it ever extremely beautiful?
No, I'm joking.
Well, if you're really good at prompting, then it is, I'm afraid.
Yeah. That's right.
So anyway, we'll talk about that, talking about the singularity, talking a little bit about my old friend Wordsworth, who's got quite a lot to say about the apocalypse as well. Maybe we'll touch on that. I think that'll be interesting, hopefully.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to it. So, until then, if you like the show, you can follow us on the podcatcher of your choice. If you really like the show, you can leave us a rating and or review on that podcatcher. You can also follow us on Instagram at The End of the World WMS, where we post scintillating reels from the show. Scintillating. And so next week we'll be talking singularity, and looking forward to that. But until then, this has been The End of the World with Michael and Stu.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Stu, and we will talk to you real soon.